living in simple ways like the birds and bees. Oh, to live a life of ease, rolling like a river, flowing like the breeze. Oh, to live a life of ease.
Looks alive.
Late at night, fat old cat perched upon my knee. Oh, to live a life of ease. Oh, to live a life of ease.
Please be seated. We will now begin our program. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Colin Stewart, and I'll be your MC. The video we just watched was just a snapshot of what Scouting does for the youth of our communities. Leadership, opportunity to explore, helping build a foundation for community support, are just the tip of the iceberg of what this program can do. Tonight, we will celebrate that very spirit, the spirit of unselfish service, the spirit of helping other people at all times. The spirit of doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do. It is that, with that in mind, that I ask you to welcome a man who embodies all of those principles and so much more. And the joy of police pipes and drums, please welcome Mr. Jim Rolfe.
May the audience please rise. Color guard attention. Color guard forward march. Color guard halt. Scout salute. And if you're not wearing uniform, please put your hand over your heart. Color guard prepare to post colors. Post the colors. Will you all please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, 2. Color guard, return to ranks. Scout sign. Scout oath. On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country, to obey Scout law, to help other people at all times, keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, morally straight. Scout law. The Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. 2. Color guard dismissed. Audience may be seated. Thank you.
Please welcome Brother James Gaffney for invocation.
And so, let us bow our heads in prayer. Gracious and loving God, this evening we celebrate anew the significance, the highly positive impact, and the impressive values that underlie the mission of the Boy Scouts of America, and in particular the Rainbow Council. In an era of heartbreaking abuse and abandonment of children here and around the world, we salute those very caring, responsible adults who consistently provide wise guidance, effective mentoring, and encouraging modeling for the boys and the youth entrusted to their care through the Rainbow Council of the Boy Scouts. Indeed, we give thanks and praise for the manner in which they faithfully develop today's youth to be tomorrow's leaders. We also celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Rainbow Scout Reservation and the half-century of camping and other Scout programs offered there. And finally, we gather to recognize and show appreciation to the 2017 Distinguished Citizen Award recipient, Jim Wolf, with praise for his stellar example of selfish leadership, outstanding character, very generous service, and faith-based values, which constitute a lasting legacy to the young persons and so many others in our community. Bless this meal which we share, those who prepared it and now serve it, the many generous donors to the Rainbow Council, and all those who lack the basic necessities for a life of sufficiency and dignity. Amen.
Trustworthy. A Scout tells the truth. He is honest and he keeps his promises.
Loyal. A Scout is loyal to those to whom loyalty is due.
Helpful. A Scout cares about other people.
Friendly. A Scout is a friend to all.
Courteous. A Scout is polite to people of all ages and positions.
Kind. A Scout treats others as he wants to be treated.
Obedient. A Scout follows the rules of his family, school, and unit.
Cheerful. A Scout looks for the bright side of life.
Thrifty. A Scout works to pay his way and to help others.
Brave. A Scout faces danger even if he is afraid.
clean. A scout keeps his body and mind fit. He chooses friends who also live by high standards. And reverent. A scout respects the beliefs of others. That is the Scout Law.
I hope you enjoyed your meal and the video clip. I would like to take a moment and thank the volunteer committee that took the time to plan the 2017 Distinguished Citizen Award Dinner. Would the committee please stand? Thank you again. I would like to thank executive board members of the Rainbow Council Boy Scouts of America that are present tonight. Please stand. I would like to recognize past distinguished honorees that are in the audience tonight. Please stand. Thank you for being an attentive audience. Now please welcome to the podium guest speaker and Eagle Scout, Michael Hansen.
Thank you, Colin. In true Eagle Scout fashion, you kind of stole some of my thunder, thanking all the appropriate people. So it's a very great introduction and a good way to start this wonderful evening. The first part of my remarks here, I was just going to focus on the scouting movement. And as Colin happened to mention, I am an Eagle Scout. I learned a long time ago that when you're an Eagle Scout, as well as when you are a Marine, you never were an Eagle Scout or were a Marine. Now, Jim Rolfe, our honoree tonight, he was a Notre Dame football player, okay? So he's in the past tense for that, but very thankfully, I am an Eagle Scout. It was great to be a part of that movement back in the 60s and 70s, and I can thank my mom and my father for all the hard work and the dedication to pushing my brother and myself towards that goal. Now, this evening, before we begin the program, the Leadership Council asked me to just make a few remarks about fundraising, okay? And this evening's event, I think there's really a couple great reasons to participate in the scouting movement. Certainly, number one is just the scout movement itself. Everybody knows that in today's world, we need good leaders. We need men and women who are providing this leadership to today's youth, especially the young men of today. And the scouting movement in Will County we've seen that, it's exhibited that. All of you people here tonight are a tribute and are here tonight in large part to what the scouting movement does. And of course, secondly, what a better way to honor and to thank our honoree Jim Rolfe than to say, hey, Jim, I'd like to make a contribution in your name to the scouting movement. So, Colin, if you would please, I'd like to start this out by giving you my donation for Jim Rolfe, not in his memory, but in his honor, okay? And there are, you're welcome, and there are pledge cards at your table, so please feel free to take those home and or sign them here this evening, and we certainly appreciate all your help and support. As a matter of fact, looking at my remarks too, I do want to also recognize the scouting movement. When I became an Eagle Scout, they asked me what did I want to be, what type of profession, and I said lawyer, so they signed me up with Wayne Johnson. And Wayne was one of my mentors, Hirschbach Law Firm. He's the man I learned the practice of corporate law, and just I can't thank him enough. And all that was due to my involvement in scouting. So you can see that the scouting movement does pay off. So we are here tonight, and when I was asked by Mary Jaworski to introduce Jim Rolfe, I said I'd be certainly happy and privileged to do so. And then Ed Dollinger reminded me tonight that I actually know Jim Rolfe longer than anybody else in the entire room. Okay? So for those of you who don't know it, Jim and I were classmates at the University of Notre Dame, and we graduated in the class of 1973. Now, I was just a nobody, although an Eagle Scout, from Joliet, Illinois, and Jim was a football player from Sewickley, Pennsylvania. And little did we know that when we entered Notre Dame in the fall of 1969, that our paths would cross somewhat quickly. Now, while I was in the library, spending my 50 hours a week, and Jim was on the football field or in the weight room or on the track running and preparing for football, I needed a little bit more time to get involved, and so I got a job as a student assistant in the Notre Dame Sports Information Office. So I started there in sophomore year, and I happened to be very privileged and honored to work for another one of my great mentors, the head of the Sports Information Department, Roger Baldessari. Roger was the guy who told me, I always remember the quote of Roger, and it served me very well for all these years. And his quote was, what you see here and hear here stays here when you leave here, which was really appropriate for Notre Dame when you're working in the Sports Information Office and you happen to learn all the secrets and all the information that really the people and the public wanted to know. Well, Roger was he hailed from Belle Vernon, Pennsylvania. Now, for those of you who don't know where Belle Vernon is, it's a suburb of that great city, Pittsburgh. Of course, Jim is a fellow Pittsburgh person. And I can tell you that Pittsburgh is just a much bigger Joliet, full of phenomenal people, salt of the earth, hardworking people. Everybody I knew at Notre Dame, whether it was from Sewickley, Monongahela, McKees Rock, Belle Vernon. I don't know about that guy from Pittsburgh, that Bullet guy, okay? Don't know about him, Jim, but everybody was just a class person. But Roger took a particular liking to Jim. And I should tell you this before I go a little further, too. I got a couple stories to tell, and when I was thinking of the speech, my wife and I were very privileged this year to go to the Holy Land, and we had a great tour guide, and when he would tell stories, he always prefaced the story by saying, some of these stories all the stories are true, some really happened. So, anyway, well, when Jim was playing football, and Roger Baldessari, by the way, some of you may have known him. He's the person who was, his claim to fame was he changed Joe Theismann's name from Theismann to Theismann in an attempt to win the Heisman. Now, I think Jim had the foresight to have you as Theismann's receiver rather than All-American Tom Gatewood. Maybe he would have won the Heisman instead of finishing second, possibly. Anyway, so Gatewood graduated, or not Gatewood, Theismann graduated. So when Jim became a junior, he was able to get some playing time at back then they called it split end. It wasn't a receiver. All right. So Roger took a particular liking to Jim. All right, and knew he was a great guy from Pittsburgh area, getting some playing time on the team. And so he came to me and he said, Mike, you're a junior, fellow junior. We've got to give Jim some ink. We got to get him in the newspaper. I like this guy. He's good for our program. I think we should do a story a day on Jim Rolfe. Can you come up with some ideas? So that was my job as a junior in the junior football season, was to come up with 4 story ideas for Jim. And I happen to think back here as I was preparing my remarks, what were some of the stories we did? Well, for example, Jim had a story where he was helping youths in the South Bend Football League, okay, learn to play football. There was a particular story where Jim was helping the elderly lady across the street, okay. There was another story where here was Jim in the library. He was helping a fellow Notre Dame football player, freshman, with his calculus. I think there was another story, Jim, where you were helping the fellow junior who was studying nuclear physics. You were giving him some tips. So these are some of the stories that we did on Jim, and he just got great press. I was very fortunate and thankful that I helped establish the Rolf brand, okay, that all of you know so well here in Joliet. My particular favorite Rolf stories, though, was every Thursday, Roger had to go help Era with the football team. All right, so that left Bob Best, the student, his first assistant. He was in charge of the Jim Rolf story of the day with me. Now, Bob Best had a particular liking for the head Notre Dame cheerleader, whose name was Terry Buck. Okay, now I know there's only two people in this room probably who know the name Terry Buck. That's Jim and myself. Well, Terry Buck was, on a scale of 1 to 10, she was probably a 15. And from a standpoint of niceness, she was probably a 20, okay? She was absolutely unbelievable, and we had some great times. You know, there was Jim, we had some pictures. Jim on the football field, Notre Dame Stadium, with Terry Buck playing catch, you know. Jim in the library with Terry doing study, and Jim going to the grotto saying prayers. I'll tell you, it was... This is how Jim started, okay? I know many of you in the room don't really know these stories. You're hearing them for the first time. You're probably not surprised. But Jim was, you know, back then even a very humble person with all this press that he was getting used to. Then, of course, senior year, he started. As I recall, I think I had these committed, but I had to just look it up for sure. He had 22 catches, 450 yards, 2 touchdowns. Of course, he was also a left-footed kicker, punter, I should say. Enjoyed very good success as a punter. But this is the Jim that I came to know back then as senior year. Now, when football ended in the fall, then of course we were all seniors in a typical senior fashion. Notre Dame had a senior bar, so we would all go on Thursday nights to the senior bar. I'm telling you, Jim always had a different girl who was always striking, you know, at the bar. My roommate, Eddie Garrett, would say, I don't know how does Rolf come with a different girl every week, you know? And I said, Eddie, he's a Notre Dame football player, you know, and he said, oh yeah, okay, right? So there was Jim, you know, still his old humble self, saying hello to everybody, being friendly even to everybody in the bar. But seriously, on a serious note, you know, we are all aware in this room, it's so great to see so many just phenomenal people from Joliet, great leaders, people who have spent their time and money invested in this community. We're all familiar with Jim's stellar community achievements and, of course, his 13 community awards that were recognized in the program. But when Mary called me and said, would you introduce Jim, my first thought was to say, I'm going to comment on the Boy Scout law, the 12 points that you saw on the screen earlier today, because those are the 12 points. When you think of them and you apply them to Jim, you see that this is exactly how he lives his life, how he treats everybody, and how he reacts to every situation. Now, the 12 points, I want to highlight a couple of them specifically, but just so everybody would focus on these just for a quick little minute, all right? Trustworthy, helpful, friendly, courteous, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, and clean. Now, those are 9 of the 12. But so that I'm not here all night, I just want to focus on the other 3, which I think are the ones that really stand out when I think of Jim Rolf, okay? And the first one, reverence. The Scouts define reverence as follows. A Scout is reverent toward God. He is faithful in his religious duties. He respects the beliefs of others. Can you say anything better about Jim Rolf? You know, I've known him for all these years, blessed and fortunate to do that. And, you know, that's one of the things I love about this man, unbelievably, is his reverence, his faith to God. Okay, that says it all. Kind. How often do you hear the word kind applied to a male person? probably not that often, Jim is always exceptionally kind to every single person he meets. I've seen that so often. You have all experienced the same thing. He always makes you feel welcome, makes you feel great, looks you in the eye. And I know that I happen to think that it's your dear mother who is the person who gave you that great trait of kindness that you exhibit so well. But I'll tell you, the one trait that stands out, the one virtue of that Boy Scout oath that stands out more than any other, loyal. I have never met a more loyal person than Jim Rolfe. Okay? And let me tell you what the Scouts say about loyalty. The Scout is true to his family, friends, his business, his school, and his country. Jim, married to Kim, a wonderful lady, over 30 years. Worked for First Midwest Bank. How many people in today's world, let alone work for any place for 43 years, I believe it is, okay? Let alone, and of course in today's world, see people like Kelly Beatty here, et cetera, everybody knows banking is one of the professions and industries that's changed so much. 43 years, okay? And what an absolute tribute it is to Jim, and one of the great reasons on why he's receiving this award tonight. I'm really not telling anything new to the people in this audience. It's just kind of refreshing to sit here and to just let it all sink in, and to all of us appreciate what Jim has done for the community, what he's done for all the fellow people. And I thought of Jim this morning, especially this morning, when today's gospel reading in church happened to say that not performing righteous deeds, that Jim is this person, he does not perform righteous deeds in order that people may see them. Again, that's Jim Rolfe. That's the person we know, we love, and has meant so much to this community, adopted this as his home. And I'd like to ask at this time one of the former recipients, Larry Walsh. Larry, can you come up here? We're going to have Larry do the honors and give Jim the award. But I'd like all of us to give a nice round of applause and a standing ovation to this year's Citizen of the Year, Jim Rolfe. What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? Just give me the award. Oh, yeah. Okay. I guess it's right here. I don't know where it is. It's that plate there, isn't it? Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Well, it's an honor for me to give this plaque to plate. Don't eat off of it, honored to do this for a good friend. All the years I've been involved, that Jim Rolfe is always there, and you can count on Jim Rolfe being right in the thick of things when we are doing things that for the good of our citizens from Will County. And he gave me a good deal on the bank when we bought it, where the new courthouse is going to go. So, and I still got the key. Okay. So, Jim, congratulations. Very thanks.
Thanks, Mike. You gave the speech just as I wrote it for you. It is truly an honor to be here tonight with so many great people. As I look around the room and understand what everybody has done in their own right within our community to help organizations and individuals it's indeed an honor for me to stand before you tonight and accept this honor. I was going to give my speech. I told Randy Chapman it would only be an hour long, and I usually write them while I'm sitting at the table. Let me just say thank you to Colin Stewart, who did a great job, by the way, as MC tonight. I heard from his mom that he might have been a little nervous. I get that. I'm a little nervous as well, and you should be, because when you're in front of such a great crowd, supporting a great cause like Boy Scouts, just think of the oath, think of the law, and just think for a second and say, if everybody observed that, we would have a different world. I think Brother James captured it in his invocation. It is truly, truly amazing what Boy Scouts do. I know there's a number of scouts in the room, I think. Would they please stand? Because I'd like to salute you. Thank you. And to all those who work with the Boy Scouts and help their cause, thank you for what you do, because those young gentlemen are our future leaders, and we need to help nurture them, mentor them, and help them carry on with their oath and the law of which they adhere to. I wrote all these remarks, but after listening to Mike tell you that I was at the senior bar every Thursday night, actually I wasn't. My dad threatened me that if I got thrown out of school that it would be not a good thing. So I try to stay away from there. But as I look at what we as a community and what we as a region have accomplished, it is nothing short of amazing to me how well this area does. Despite things that go on at a different level, we continue to support and help those around us in so many ways. And it's just really great to be a part of that. And so I thank you for this award. I thank my wife, Kim, who every night asks me, where are you working tomorrow, and will you be home for dinner? Thank you, and I love you. That was the one word in there, obedient. I wasn't sure if that applied to me or not. But thank you very much. Thank you for this award. Congratulations to the Boys Club and Girls Club, who is another organization that's very important to me, and our youth collectively are important. I want to salute the Boy Scouts. Thank you. Keep going and doing what you're doing. You will make the world a better place. Thank you.
Jim, on behalf of our 5,000 youth members in the Rainbow Council, we would like to make you an honorary Boy Scout.
I don't have to tie it.
No, you don't have to tie it. No knots? No knots.
Thank you. Thank you very much. The good news is I don't have to tie the knot, because if I did, I'd never get it off.
Our last speaker for tonight is Colin Stewart. So, Colin, if you come back up, he's going to tell us a little bit about his scouting story. So.
My name is Colin Stewart. I'm 11 years old. I just became a Boy Scout in Troop 75 in Bolingbrook, Illinois. I want to thank you for allowing me to speak tonight about my scouting experience.
That video was done, I believe it was probably the first dinner that we had for the honoree, and I was asked kindly to give a speech about my scouting experience. Now I'm here emceeing the sixth one, I believe. I'm sorry, I could be wrong. But I'm seeing that one and now doing another speech. It's probably almost exactly the same or just as similar to that one. And I'm a little like, wow, I feel like I cannot surpass what was just said in Mr. Ralph's speech. So I'm just going to say what I need to say. I'm going to get off the stage because this is for them. So everybody knows that my name is Colin Stewart. I'm 16 years old. I'm a life scout now with Troop 75, and I'm also again here today to tell you about my scouting experience. Now, I originally didn't want to join the Cub Scouts because I didn't know exactly everybody, but my parents said it would be fun. And now they look back on it, I'm glad that I actually did go. In 2007, I joined Cub Scout Pack 31 in Bolingbrook. I quickly became friends with all the scouts in the den, sharing laughs and excitement. We went camping, did various crafts, went on hikes, which was fun, learned about cultures, different plants and animals, plus so much more. It was a great time, and I can gladly say that many of these Cub Scouts are still my friends today. As now I bridge in the Boy Scouts, I earn a new chapter in scouting. Now it was up to me to earn my merit badges and rank advancement. I remember my first merit badge, it was robotics. It was a lot of work to complete it, but I had fun programming the robot to move and then gave a demonstration to my troop. My first merit badge was tough, but a success. Now, 37 merit badges later, I look back and realize that the robotics merit badge was the most difficult one I've ever done, and wondering why I even did it first. Merit badges are designed to challenge a scout into new territories, teaching new skills, and create the possibility of a future job opportunity. Ever hear of Steven Spielberg? Or how about Neil Armstrong? Yeah, they were once Boy Scouts and are Eagle Scouts. Although I am 16 years old, I've had to use the skills I've learned in scouting, like budgeting my finances, cooking an entire meal, staying fit, being prepared, and even had to perform first aid on a few of my friends. And those friends are the ones that want to go camping with me because I'm the Boy Scout, and I can start a fire with sticks, and I can even cook in a Dutch oven. In 2014, I had the opportunity to attend National Youth Leadership Training to learn event planning, communication, team development, leadership styles, setting goals, problem solving, and other leadership skills, which I brought back to my troop. And in 2015, I was asked to return as a staff member and as a team guide to coach, mentor, and present some sessions and activities. Both were great experiences in my scouting years. Another great experience that I have been honored to share with other scouts within Boy Scouts is called the Order of the Arrow. This is considered the National Honor Society of Scouting, where members are voted in by their troop. The Order of the Arrow values cheerful service where scouts volunteer time outside the troop, and now I have recently joined Explorer Post 6 for communications. This is a great opportunity as I plan to pursue this field at Columbia University when I graduate in 2 years. My next step, Eagle, the highest rank in Boy Scout program. I am currently working on submitting my proposal to my troop committee for consideration, and my goal is to be completed by the end of this year. In closing, scouting has shaped me into the person I am today, and I believe there's much to offer to everybody. Thank you. Hi, I'm back. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, sorry, a little out of place. All right. Thank you again for supporting the Rainbow Council, Boy Scouts of America. Tonight, we have celebrated the contributions and accomplishments of Mr. Jim Rolfe. Rolfe? Okay, I'm so sorry. I feel like I'm butchering your name, and I'm like, Tonight, your support will fund new innovative programs, train leaders, and ensure the next 50 years of the Rainbow Scout Reservation, as well as further the improvement of the camp. Thank you for attending. Drive safely, and I will close the evening with a short prayer. Everybody bow your heads. And now may the great Scoutmaster of all the Scouts be with us until we meet him again and we follow the trail that will lead us to him. Amen. All right. Thank you, everybody. Now it is done.
Banjo on my knee, oh, to live a life of ease, going where